Hello again. This is our discussion about Charles Horton Cooley and the looking glass self. Now, this information you can find in your textbook in chapter 3, but we waited until we got to the microscale side of social structure to look at this because the interactions that we engage in on a regular basis in our social groups that is guided by the statuses that we occupy and the role that we play as part of that status, that's guided by the norms that exist on the macro scale created by our system of social institutions that are all connected to each other. We're making full circle to looking at the way that some micro scale theorists explain that we develop our self-concept, okay? So this is about identifying who we are and our personality traits based on our social interaction. Now, in psychology class, you're going to be talking about personality traits a lot. They'll even classify personalities, give personality types. However, in sociology class, since we look at socialization, that interactive, lifelong process of learning and how we get our behaviors from those around us, we are also going to look at how we develop our personality traits and our self-concept through social interaction. So Charles Horton Cooley lived his entire lifetime, almost, Irving Goffman, who we talked about in a recent video, wasn't even born yet when Charles Horton Cooley was writing his theories, okay? But we talked about Irving Goffman first simply because I find it to be helpful for myself to understand the looking glass self concept a little bit more deeply if we have that concept of social script, backstage, front stage behavior, that kind of stuff. The other actors that we have to interact with and our interpretation of reality. That is all an integral part of what Charles Horton Cooley was getting at when he said that part of our socialization process occurs through this self-development or self-concept development that he called the looking glass self. Now, the looking glass is a mirror, okay? It's a fancy word for a mirror. But in this case, the mirror that he says that we're using, that Charles Horton Cooley suggests that we use, the mirror includes society's norms that we learn from interaction with others. The mirror includes those social interactions because people who we're engaged in activities with are also responding to and interacting on a basis of what society's norms are. So the mirror is not so much literally where you're looking at yourself from this angle and looking at just appearance here, but it's also about behavior and how we think we seem to others based on our behavior. So it's not just about the physical self, okay? Like we literally use a mirror to see our physical appearance with others. This is about our behavior too, our social self-identity that is so intricately linked, linked with our behavior in our social groups, okay? So, the looking glass is a mirror, and Charles Horton Cooley said we use society's norms and the interactions that we go through every single day as like a measuring tool to develop our self-concept. So we interpret reality around us through looking at people's reactions to the way that we present ourselves. And remember, I'm saying present ourselves, but do not merely think about the physical being, which of course is part of our overall self-concept. But also think about the behaviors that you exhibit. Do you crack jokes? Do you keep to yourself? Do you correct someone's mistake? Do you talk about it behind their back? Those kinds of things. What do we do? How do we develop those patterns of behavior? Charles Horton Cooley suggested that it's a 3-step process based on our past social experiences, based on our social interactions with those in the groups that we're a part of on a daily basis. If you've got a big sister who says, "You're so annoying and you're such a brat and I can't stand to have you around," well, perhaps there will be some sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy there, so that when she has her friends over for slumber party or whatever, you intentionally try to, peek behind the curtain or whatever and be annoying or be the brat or be whatever. You live up to that expectation that others have. So all of that kind of self-fulfilling prophecy is part of understanding this looking glass self too. So Cooley said that this is a 3-step process. That first, in our preparatory actions that we go through before we are in the social setting, that we anticipate how are others going to perceive us. Are they going to think we're smart? Are they going to think that we're put together, clean cut, rough, whatever? How are they going to perceive me? So think about how Erving Goffman talked about impression management and how we go through actions to try to bring about a favorable result for ourselves. That might be the kind of action that you are doing in this anticipation kind of stage, where I'm going to try to almost rehearse what the social situation is going to be in my mind before I get there. Then, throughout our lives of doing this, Cooley says that we observe the way that people actually do react and interact with us. If we have anticipated that we're going to seem smart, but we're looking at their microscale verbal and nonverbal cues about what their ideas and attitudes are about us actually, and we make an observation about, oh, they are laughing, they must like me, they're not laughing, they're rolling their eyes, they're frowning. Whatever these messages are that we get from the nonverbal cues, then we begin to take those observations. And the third step in Charles Horton Cooley's looking glass self process is that we develop our self-concept over a series of our early lifetime of this and a continuation of this throughout our lifetime. We develop our self-concept in regard to the way we interact with others. If we think people do not receive us well, they don't understand us, we might be introverted and keep to ourselves. If we have a different opinion of ourselves, we are funny, we are the life of the party, we might behave differently based on that assumption about ourselves that he claims, Cooley claims, we get through a collection of lifelong observations about the way people interact and react with us. We try to control the way they're going to interact and react with us, and then we develop our self-concept over time because of those observations. So, read about this in chapter 3 and tell me in your reaction paper or on the discussion board, how do you think this is related to that microscale part of social structure, our social groups, and also the dramaturgical analysis that Erving Goffman came up with about 70 years after Charles Horton Cooley wrote this. I'll see you again for another lecture in sociology real soon. Bye.